Animals, for many, they are not just an addition to the home, but they're really a member of the family.
Sure are. What happens, though, when their treatment is cast into the shadows? Unthinkable acts against animals are said to be the gateway to even more serious crimes, with punishments some say are little more than a slap on the wrist. News Channel 11's Kylie McGivern is in your corner tonight, having scoured legislation and examining where Tennessee falls nationally when it comes to animal cruelty penalties.
Seen many abuse cases. The fines are minimum. We haven't seen anybody really prosecuted for any animal cruelty. Come here, buddy.
Sandy Banky has worked at the Hawkins County Animal Shelter for nearly 3 years. Time that's been hardened by horrors.
There were 68 animals taken from this residence, 2 different houses. These animals were in cages in the basement in feces this deep.
The Mooresburg homes belong to Ann Shirley Barber and Michelle Ann Barber, a mother and daughter who each faced 68 counts of animal cruelty back in April.
Dead horses in the barn, the smell of death all throughout the place. It was, I couldn't think of anything worse than what I seen at that place.
So whatever happened, both pled guilty to 4 of the 68 counts, paid their $200 fines plus court costs, and are now serving 2 years.
And they did no jail time.
Probation.
Nothing.
Up the road in Hawkins County, Molly Bird, owner of Treadway Equine Animal Rescue Sanctuary, knows the frustration all too well.
I think it's bogus. It's just like getting a child and neglecting a child, not feeding a child. Come on, kids!
Many of her kids came to her at once last year.
We got 23 in a month last year. This was a big part of them.
It's a case seared into her memory.
You count every rib, feel, you could stick your hand in her hip.
In a matter of 3 days in April, Tears rescued 13 starving and neglected horses, the ones that were still alive, from Tim Lee's property. When it came time for him to pay the price, it's best to first put it in perspective. A fine for not wearing your seatbelt in Tennessee is $10. Littering, a $50 fine plus court costs. The fine for Lee, charged with 6 counts of animal cruelty, $2 per horse. $12 plus court costs. Lee is currently serving probation after receiving the maximum penalty for animal cruelty misdemeanors. The fine, however, could have been up to $2,500. So we wondered, how did he end up paying $2 per horse? The answer isn't clear. The judge in the case directed me to the district attorney's office. DA Barkley Bell says anything they do, the court has to agree to. He told me if they had agreed to this, it would have been reflected in their notes, which led him to believe that the fine was imposed by the court. It's cases like this that make Benke question the system.
And the Sheriff's Department works with us wonderfully. It's just when they get into the court system, that's where it fails us.
In Washington County, I sat down with District Attorney Tony Clark.
It is something that I think should be looked at, more seriously sometimes than it is.
Who says the system is far from perfect.
The biggest loophole I see, and I'll take the case we had, the example a year or so ago where we had the Honey, the dog that was thrown down the stairs and put in the dryer and some of those things. He ends up with probation.
Probation, and come July at the hands of the case judge, judicial diversion, meaning the charge will be wiped clean from his record.
We asked for some jail time. I think there ought to be jail time. If we had maybe some mandatory sentencing, maybe some jail time or something would help us. But right now, it's treated like any other animals are treated like property.
But this property has a pulse.
There's really no laws here.
State laws have actually come a long way from where they first started.
In the last 5 to 6 years, I think our laws have drastically improved.
The biggest game changer came when charges involving animals were no longer all misdemeanors.
Tennessee, fortunately, does have a statute that criminalizes aggravated cruelty to animals as a felony.
But Leanne Lassiter, who serves as the Tennessee State Director for the Humane Society of the United States, says having the law in place isn't enough.
You have to look at the enforcement. We have about 40 counties out of 95 that don't have any government-funded animal services in their community.
Lassiter's main focus right now is working on a bill sponsored by Bristol Representative John Lundberg that would hold those accountable who fuel an underground world of exploitation, cock and dog fighting.
Those current penalties are $50 to be a spectator at a cockfight and $500 to be a spectator at a dog fight. And those penalties are so low that we've actually made Tennessee a magnet for criminals from other states.
In surrounding states where watching can be a felony. In Sullivan County, Assistant District Attorney Julie Cantor says a missing link is a statewide tracking system.
It would be helpful in terms of assessing other crimes.
She's not alone. The National Sheriff's Association has actually submitted a proposal to the FBI to begin tracking crimes against animals. Back at the Hawkins County Animal Shelter, Benke says where the system falls out, people step in.
There's a lot of concerned citizens here, and I think if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't see it.
The legislators thought enough of this to make several new laws making these felony charges, so I think they ought to put a little bit more teeth into them as to what we can do once they're convicted.
A little more teeth to back up the bark with a stronger bite. To help with animal cruelty enforcement, the Humane Society of the United States has selected Tennessee as one of its top states this year to gear an unprecedented number of animal cruelty investigation trainings coming up in May. Josh?
Kylie McGivern. Kylie, thank you for a breakdown of the state's animal cruelty laws and a petition for the Animal Fighting Enforcement Act. You can go to our website. It's on WJHL.com.